My name's James Dermond. I'm the author of Doorways to the Unseen, Six Tales of Terror and Suspense, and you're listening to This Freakin' Show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of This Freakin' Show, the weekly podcast with a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. I am your host, Travis D, and alongside me this evening, as always,
Awkward Colin
and Geekcast Joe.
And this episode of This Freakin' Show is brought to you by Firepit Bar and Grill of Peotone, Illinois. If you're looking for a down-home country restaurant that offers a burger and beer for just $7.99 every Monday and Wednesday, you have to check out the Firepit Bar and Grill of Peotone. You can find them on Facebook at Firepit Bar or at their website, firepitbar.com.
We are also brought to you by wearetapperties.com. If you want a high-quality tie for a low-quality price, go to We Are Tapper Dies. My goodness, am I ever going to get through this without tripping? wearetapperties.com, where you can get a high-quality knit tie for just $15 plus shipping and handling. But if you use the special discount code Freakin, that's Freakin, you can get free shipping. So guess what? Your probably should be a $45 tie in a department store is only going to cost you $15. So check them out. wearedapperties.com today.
You're 0-2, Joe.
I am.
But I mean, I get it. I mean, you being like probably the most like the biggest tie enthusiast that I know, I get that you're kind of like, you know, disshuffled, I guess is the proper word, for the fact that you get a high quality tie for just $15. I mean, I get it.
It's actually,
you know,
really
I mean, I feel the same way. Like whenever I look at wrestling figures or like baseball shit, you know, it's like you're so excited about the opportunity to get something so great that's near and dear to your heart that you just don't think straight. And I know you're the kind of guy who has like you have a beautiful mind there, bro. But just I guess when it comes to ties, it just doesn't want to function properly.
Nope,
and I
totally
get that.
Totally lose it.
But I'm not as big into ties as you are. I do wear a tie occasionally for like a special occasion and everything. And I mean, the biggest reason I don't wear ties is because I can't spend $45 on a tie in a department store. But if I could take that $45 and instead of buying one at a department store, and I could buy three on wearedapperties.com, why not, right?
Absolutely.
It's a great opportunity. Thank you to Dapper Ties for being a sponsor of the show, and thank you for Firepit for being here from the very beginning. It's wonderful that these people believe in us and think that we are well worth it because we are here to prove that they are correct.
Perfect.
So, we are here with a brand new episode. We are inching ever so closely to that 100th episode. Super excited for that. A lot of moving parts for that. We're going to have it's going to be an exciting show. I already got some ideas on what's going to go on and got some things floating in my head. We're going to have some people come back, and you guys know who it is, but I don't want our fans, our listeners to know yet. But it's going to be an incredible show. I think we're only like 3 or 4 weeks away now. I think like 4 weeks away from 100th episode.
It sounds right.
And starting next week, we are releasing This Freaky Show. So I'm super excited to bring that back. We're going to have 5 straight weeks of Halloween fun here on This Freakin' Show as it merges or morphs into This Freaky Show. Geekcast Joe will be taking a sabbatical, and Freak Joe will be back. So I'm super excited for that. And on top of Freak Joe being back, Freaky Tales will be back here. So every week we're going to have the Freak Joe read us a freaky tale. So I'm super excited about that as well.
Totes.
Yeah, and I apologize that I'm taking over all the airtime from all three of us. That is not my intention. I do want to know what's going on with your guys' life, but I'm so super excited for everything that's going on in our lives and everything that we're doing here and how we're almost reaching that great milestone that, you know, I thought would never come. And I mean, here we are. We're wrapping up season 2 in a few weeks. We're releasing the 100th episode. It's a good feeling.
It's a big deal. I'm into it.
It's a huge deal. But how are you guys doing? Let's find out what's going on with you guys. What's new? What's exciting? Tell me some stuff. Anybody at all?
I don't
just
have
speak up.
anything. I am totally wiped out. It was just a long, boring week.
Okay. What about you, Colin? You got anything? Anything?
It was, pretty boring.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share my exciting life then. So from what I explained last week and how you guys know, I had to go to Charlotte last week for work. Yeah. And I got to tell you, there were only 2 moments in that entire, between Tuesday morning and Friday night. There were only 2 moments of that trip that I wish never happened and I wish I could fix. So let me start with the first problem. That was checking into the hotel. So a few weeks ago, probably about a month ago, my card got used in Ohio. Somebody got hold of my debit card number and purchased a $900 iPhone.
Oh, jeez.
On top of that, these idiots added a line onto my Verizon plan.
Oh.
No idea how they did it. No idea why they would think the logical sense for stealing my debit card and adding the line that I wouldn't notice that. Whatever. Found it, took care of it. The unfortunate thing is now, though, with my debit card for the bank that I use, if I am using my debit card outside of Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, or Illinois, it has to be used with a PIN number now. So anything outside that has to be used with a PIN number. And if anything outside of Illinois is used, I get notified immediately before a transaction is processed. So knowing all this information, I call the hotel to try to figure out my situation, because I have one card that's my debit card, and like I said, obviously I need to use my PIN number. So when I called the hotel and I asked them about the whole debit card situation, they said that they don't use a PIN number, but they do keep the card on file when we check in. So I said, it's fine, whatever. So I took the money out of my account and brought cash with me. And I'm a cash person, but I don't like to carry a lot of cash with me, just because people in this world are shitty and will mug me. So I took the cash with me. I got to the hotel and everything, and I give them my card. Well, they tried to process my card, and they're telling me that it's declined and everything. And I was like, well, it's going to be declined because I didn't put my PIN number in. You guys said I can't use my debit card as a PIN with the PIN because you guys don't run debit. Like, well, we do run debit here. We process debit transactions. I'm like, you could process a debit transaction using my PIN number. He's like, yeah, we could run your debit card as a debit card. It's not a problem. So I was like, well, fuck. I have to do that because at this point they already told me I couldn't pay the cash, So I called my bank.
Wait, you can't pay with cash at a hotel?
Well, I'll get to it.
Okay.
I couldn't pay it up front. Okay, so I couldn't pay the cash up front. So I had to call the bank and everything. I had to move money from my savings into my checking. I had to increase my limit for that day from $500 to $1,000 because the room was like $580.
Jeez.
So they swiped the card and everything, and they tell me, yeah, it didn't go through. I'm like, well, yeah, it didn't go through because I need to put my PIN number in. That's how you run a debit. Because when you run debit, you need to use the PIN number. And they're like, no, sir, you're misunderstanding me. We run your debit card, but it's processed as a credit transaction. And I'm like, okay, so you're not getting me. I asked you if I could run a debit with my PIN, and you said you could run the debit card as debit. Basically, they're telling me I'm wrong. I'm telling them they're wrong, and there's no way for us to agree on this. So after all this shit and everything, I just tell them, like, listen, fine, I'll just pay you cash, okay? It was just pay cash. I'll give you the money right now so I could just be on my way. I want to get to my room. Because it's been about 35, 40 minutes from this point now.
Right.
They told me that, well, they can't do that. They have to have my card on file, and they have to process the transaction. And I was telling them, like, I don't need you to process a transaction on my card. I just need to pay with cash. The whole problem that we're having right now is you told me that my card needs to be on file, so you have it, and then when I check out, I could pay you in cash. And they said, yes, what we do is we run the transaction, and we put a hold on the amount on your credit card. And then on Friday, when you check out, you can pay us in cash, and then we'll release that pending transaction. And then sometime next Friday, you should be able to have that money again. So,
which would be fine, except for they literally said, we put a hold on your credit card, but it's not a credit card, you jackasses.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there looking at them like they're fucking stupid. And I keep telling them, like, first off, I have very little money. Like, my income is shot. So for me to give you $500 in cash and for you to hold on to an additional $500 from me that I cannot use until next Friday would not work in any sense of the statement.
Right.
So the only thing I could do is call my company and say, hey, listen, unfortunately, I can't check into this hotel because my card does not work out here, and they will not take the cash. I need you guys to make the payment for this hotel room. It was a business trip, so I mean they're going to reimburse me for it anyway, so might as well just do this right away. So I get a hold of my boss. My boss said, if I don't, we'll call you back with the credit card information and everything. I told the person behind the counter, my boss can get the credit card information. He's going to tell me what it is so we can get this processed and ready to go. Okay, fine, not a problem. That'll work. They call me back. I'm ready to write down the information and everything. I was like, can I get a piece of paper to write down the information? And they're like, well, in order for us to process their payment, we need them to fill out a credit card authorization form. So 10 minutes between the first phone call and the second phone call, they decide not to tell me this process because I was just going to write down the credit card number, the name on the card, the exact expiration date, all the shit you need.
Right.
Like I kind of explained to them I was going to do. So another 10 minutes has left from the already 55 minutes that we're at.
Oh my gosh.
Somehow they forget to tell me that. So I said, okay, well, I told them like, listen, sir, I need your email address so we can send to them and everything. I write down the email address. I gave them the email address. And they email my boss and everything. My boss fills out the form and sends it back. 20 minutes goes by. I don't hear anything. I call my boss. He says he sent it. I asked him if he could send it again. He sent it again, whatever. They still haven't received it. And then the guy behind the counter realizes that what he did is he sent the email from a different employee's email. That guy left, logged out. So that's why he's not getting the email because it went to the other guy.
Jeez.
So then I had to give my boss the email address so they could send it to the right person. When they got the paperwork finally, they found out that they sent my boss the wrong paperwork.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so they had to resend him the right paperwork, and then finally it gets back to the guy. After literally 2 hours and 15 minutes of dealing with this shit, I was finally able to get in my room.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That is insane.
It's a fucking joke. I mean, and I got no ill will towards this hotel whatsoever. I'm not going to mention the name of the hotel. That's fine. But it's just like their process is not accurate. It's not usable. To I guess I'll call myself a commoner. I don't give a fuck because I've gone to hotels when I went fucking down in like Champagne and shit like that. I walk in, they just keep my card on file. They don't run a transaction. They just keep the card on file and then I just pay it when I leave.
Right.
I don't know how it can't be that simple, but apparently in Charlotte they gotta do everything fucking different. Completely fucking stupid. Yeah. But the rest of the week was fine. I got to meet everyone, go through class, we barbecued and shit. That was amazing. And everything was good up until I got on the flight home. And the male flight attendant came up to me and asked me if I needed additional straps for the fucking seatbelt. I told him, no, I'm good. It's buckled. It's good. I have it tight. I'm okay, ready to go. And he keep asking me, are you sure, sir? I'm going to need to check it. And I'm pulling on the seatbelt. I'm like, see, it's locked. It's attached, Well, we just want to make sure you're as comfortable as possible. I'm like, if you want me to be comfortable, get wider seats.
I'll
be more comfortable with that. Yeah. And he's like, well, I mean, just to be safe, would you like me to get you a seatbelt extension? And I'm like, no, I'm totally fine without the seatbelt extension. The seatbelt is buckled. I'm okay. He's like, well, we just want to make sure that your flight is comfortable and you just have a good flight. I'm like, it would be a really good flight, sir, if you didn't announce to the entire airport or the entire airplane that you believe I need a seatbelt extension. That would make me feel much better.
No
He's
kidding.
like, oh, I'm so sorry. So I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm buckled in. I'm sitting here. I'm not, flowing over into the seat next to me. I'm not flowing over into the aisle. I'm totally fine the way I am. Thank you very much. And I tried to be as nice as possible with it because I don't want them to fucking stick rubber gloved hands up my butthole looking for fuses and shit because I got erratic. So,
word.
Other than those 2 times, I had a good time. It was an amazing time.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough travels.
It is. It was unpleasant, but I mean, I gotta do it again. Come Orlando, February. I gotta go to Orlando for a summit meeting, so that'll be pretty exciting. Yep. So I'm super excited for that. I'm also super excited because our guest is ready to come on, and if you guys are ready, I would like to get a hold of him to have a and we could talk about some amazing things.
Perfect.
I'm ready.
Perfect. Let's get him on.
What up, everybody? It's Razor.
This is Fear.
And MDI.
And we are Fifth Cast, the premier show of the FYFC Podcast Network.
We like to talk. Hell, we'll talk about anything.
World events and personal stories.
Technology and pop culture.
And once even, pterodactyl porn. Seriously, that's a thing. Google it.
New episodes are available every Friday on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. Also, subscribe to the video podcast on youtube.com/FYFC podcasts.
I'm not sure why you were yelling, but that was excellent.
Now fuck your face and back to the show.
We said normal voice.
I know, but I like that one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, starting next week, this freaky show will relaunch during the month of October. Super excited for that because we take the entire month to celebrate Halloween. And I figured, what's the best way to kind of merge into our Halloween celebrations by having a freaky show this week. So we are actually launching this freaky show with an exciting interview with, I guess our guest, James Dermond. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, that's right, James Dermond.
Excellent. So I'm super excited to sit here and talk with you. Real quick, do you just want to give our listeners kind of like a little background on who you are?
Sure. I'm a fairly new writer. I started writing last year, and I had my first book out. It's a collection of 6 short horror stories called Doorways to the Unseen, 6 Tales of Terror and Suspense, and the entire series is called Doorways to the Unseen. And the next volume is coming out by Halloween. I might launch it on Halloween Day. And I also have several novels that I'm writing, and should be released next year.
Fantastic.
Nice. So, like, what kind of got you into becoming a writer and everything? Were there any influences for what kind of motivates you in that direction?
Okay, well, I've always loved to read, like most writers, and I was particularly interested in the horror genre. And as self-publishing or independent publishing became prominent, and the market started to shift away from traditional publishing, I saw an opportunity and I wanted to pursue it. I'd always thought about being a writer, but it always seemed like a long shot, almost random, whether or not you became published, and if you became published, if you became a success. And the nature of the business was different then, because they would just do a print run, and if you didn't make, if you didn't become a success during like the first print run, or at least break even, then you were never heard from again. Or you could try to sell your second book and get an advance from the publisher, and maybe the advance is all you ever make. But now things are a lot different because everything is digital and we have print on demand. So you can basically create your own publishing company, which I did, and use different platforms like Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Kobo, and there's a number of other platforms, even like Google Play and Apple's platform. And you can sell an infinite number of digital copies at no cost to yourself. And then every print copy is on demand. So if somebody wants a print copy, they just order one. The printers at Amazon will spit one out, put it in the mail, and send it to the purchaser for you. And you can also build your own platform now using social media and software programs like MailChimp, where you build an extensive email list and you can market to those people. So things are a lot different now, and this has really happened only over the last several years, maybe the last 3 or 4 years, where you could really do what you can do now and create your own publishing company and create your own marketing machine and reach a large audience.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I've thought about doing writing, but I'm still in grad school, and I just I kind of have to pick one right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a master's degree, actually, so I remember what grad school is like.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm nearing the finish line. I've just got a thesis left, basically. But I remember reading Stephen King's On Writing, and his process at the back of the book that describes, his opinion of how to break into the industry. And it is a lot more extensive and a lot more complicated, and like you were saying, a bit more of a shot in the dark than than what you're able to do now with Amazon's platforms and social media and all of this stuff. So that's fantastic that you're able to do that.
I mean, the element of luck has been taken out of the publishing and writing game for the most part. People that will put in the time and are persistent enough can, make a living as a writer and become a somewhat prominent writer just by effort. Before, I'm sure there were thousands of writers over the years that were excellent and never were even able to get published. So now it's just a matter of having some money. You need some money to do this, but not a lot, and putting in the effort to do so.
Gotcha. Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the stories that you write. Obviously it's horror. Do you like to focus on a specific type of horror, or?
No, not really. The stories, they can be characterized in different ways. I try to write across all kinds of different subgenres in horror. The names of the stories are, I have the book in front of me. The Drowned Man is the first story. Grandfather's Cane. Return to Dust. The Plague, which was originally called The Plague of Madness, and I shortened it. And Roadside Diner, and the last story is Stella. And each one is different. I tried to write in kind of different areas of horror. The first two are ghost stories, but The Drowned Man, the two main characters are college girls, and it's kind of like a young adult story. I got that from other writers, and it takes place on a lake house. And Grandfather's Cane is almost like a murder mystery. It's kind of like an Agatha Christie meets the occult type murder mystery story. And then Return to Dust is almost like science fiction or The Outer Limits. It takes place in even what could be called an alternate universe, which is something like a 1940s Russia, and it's about human experimentation. Have you ever heard the creepypasta, the Russian sleep experiment? Have you heard that?
I feel like I have.
Okay, it's
remind me and remind our listeners.
12 million views or something like that on YouTube. Like the original posting of it. A lot of people have heard it. But this story was compared to the Russian sleep experiment and the movie The Men Behind the Sun and H.P. Lovecraft's From Beyond. It was like a combination of those things, and it's about psychometric experimentation. And then the fourth story is The Plague, and this is actually the most popular story because it's the most straightforward horror story, but it kind of has an H.P. Lovecraft cosmic horror feel to it. And then Roadside Diner isn't quite a horror story. It's more like a Twilight Zone episode, and it takes place in an isolated diner out in the dusty Southwest, which I've been to. I'm in Colorado right now. And then the last story is Stella, which takes place in Latin America, and it's about an ancient temple and archaeology in some ways, but where there's a surprise ending. So each story kind of has a twist. The one with the biggest twist was Grandfather's Cane, and you can listen to an audio adaptation of that on the Simply Scary podcast. The first three stories, The Drowned Man, Grandfather's Cane, and Return to Dust, were adapted as an audio presentation, a special Halloween episode of the Simply Scary podcast, and it's gotten about 60,000 views now. So, and then they released the Grandfather's Cane as just a standalone audio story last month. So, and that's gotten about 13,000 views. So I've gotten a good reception. Just through Twitter marketing, really. I've been building an email list, but most of the marketing I've done has been through Twitter. I've sold hundreds of copies just through Twitter. Wow. And just through a DM on Twitter. So it's like an automated process. And over 25% of the sales have been paperback because I guess people really like the cover. I guess that's my guess. Usually I've talked to other authors that paperback sales are 2 or 3% of their sales, but in this case I've had approaching even maybe 30% of my sales have been paperback and the rest have been ebooks.
Wow. I can see how. I've got your website pulled up here and I'm looking at the cover of it, and it's not you see a lot of ebook publishers with pretty generic covers that don't really do anything for you. And I
like it.
This draws me in. I like that it's almost, I mean, I think it only shows like 4 doorways, but
It's six
No, there's
doorways.
six.
There's
I
six
mean,
doors.
you look
okay,
farther,
yeah, I was
it's
just saying,
kind
I
of
have
a
a
dark
sense that
hallway.
there's 2 more that I can't quite see. So I like it. I'm into that, and it sounds like you're really all over the place in terms of you kind of run the gamut of horror possibilities in this. So I'm excited. I'll probably be buying this soon.
I did buy it.
Yeah, and then the next volume is coming out, like I said, by Halloween. I'm considering releasing it on Halloween Day, and it includes 6 more short stories, and they, again, there's a wide variation in the type of stories. I tried to touch all kinds of different, themes of horror or things that people might be interested in horror. One of the stories is a prequel to the Grandfather's Kane story, because one of the things that people mentioned, readers mentioned, and listeners mentioned on the Simply Scary podcast is that they wanted more background on the main character in Grandfather's Kane and why she did what she did in the first story. So the prequel story is called A God in a Grotto. And it explains the backstory in maybe like 1920s England behind the character. And in the Grandfather's Kane story, she's an old lady, but you find out about her as a young girl and what caused her to do what she did, without giving away the plot, to do what she did in the first story. And then there's another story that takes place in medieval Germany. And it kind of has let's put it this way, it has a full moon theme, without giving away too much again. And, it kind of takes place in the Black Forest, or a primeval forest in medieval Germany. That's part of the story. And then another one takes place in 1950s Haiti, but it never actually mentions Haiti. And it's a kind of a zombie story, the original zombie, not the current zombie craze. And another is about a ghost ship. And then another one is actually a kind of it's not quite so scary. It's a lighthearted story, and it was inspired by a H.P. Lovecraft story, The Dweller in the Dark. And that takes place out in the country. I never say exactly when it is, but I pictured it as being the 1970s. And then the last story takes place in the contemporary era, and it's about a writer. And he finds out as he writes that what he's writing is starting to affect him and his perception of the world around him. And it's kind of like the character is kind of like a Stephen King type character, but I like Stephen King. The writer in this is supposed to be a hack. He's like he's kind of a popular writer that would be a imitation of Stephen King, but not at his level of ability.
Oh,
yeah. So I actually do own the Kindle version of this book. Now the cover of the book is absolutely amazing. Like you guys are kind of talking about like a little bit a second ago. I didn't get a chance to chime in there because Joey talks a lot, but it is absolutely amazing. Are there like illustrations like inside the book, like the beginning of the chapters or anything, or is like the illustration just like the front cover?
No, there's a back cover illustration. If you get the, I don't know if you can see that in your version of the Kindle, but there's a back cover illustration, but it's not an extensive illustration. It's mostly text, with some imagery like a big spider and cobwebs and the dusty floor of the haunted mansion, that's pictured on the front of the cover. The second volume will be a haunted cathedral. It's a variation on this cover, but it's distinct enough where if you compare the two, you can tell that they're different. And I tweeted it a while ago. I tweeted, if you look through my Twitter feed, you can see that cover and what it's going to look like.
Okay. So the illustrator, the guy who created the cover and everything, is he also the same guy who created the cover of your next book?
I'm going to have the same graphic designer create each cover as long as he's available. So he did an excellent job with the first cover, so he's going to do the second cover too, and the third cover. I'm going to keep writing. This is going to be my short story series. Like Clive Barker had the Books of Blood, where he just collected all of his short stories into different volumes, and then after a while he ended it. But I think it has, I'm not sure how many stories are in it, maybe up to 100, throughout the whole series. So I can keep going on this for a while, for quite a few years as I write novels too.
Mm-hmm. Now, because as I was looking, because I'm actually on Amazon right now, looking, and you have a lot of great reviews, which is absolutely amazing. It looks okay. So this came out in September of last year, and you're going to release the second one this year. So is this going to be like an annual release?
Yes, it'll be an annual release. I thought about changing. I was originally going to release it in September, like I did last time at the end of September, but I'm going to experiment with a different release date to see if it improves sales. Because I have a bigger audience now, and also I want to know if I'm closer to October, there'll be more interest in this kind of book. So I'm looking at towards the end of October instead.
Oh, and it makes perfect sense. I read through a lot of it and everything. I listened to most of it through the Alexa that I have. Because and that's a poor choice. If anyone's out there recommending to buy a Kindle book and listen through Alexa, don't listen through Alexa because her monotone voice, it doesn't get you in the mood. So I
your own imagination will do a better job, I'm sure, than the robot voice.
It did, and if anyone, either one of these guys can tell you, I'm never really big into when it comes to horror movies and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of it, but when it comes to horror short stories, I absolutely love them. I'm a huge fan of Edgar Allan Poe. Mm-hmm. I love short stories. During this freaky show during the month of October, Joe here actually. He reads scary stories at the end of every episode, so it's absolutely amazing. That's one of the best times I have on the show is when he's reading, because he has that voice that it's literally like one of those book on tape kind of voices. It's perfect. But yeah, when I read these scary stories and everything, and I try to get those voices going in my head for different characters and shit. But when you do that on Alexa, she sounds like she's trying, but really it's not there.
But I've never heard Alexa actually. I've heard the synthesized voices before, and I've used that for my voicemail system, but it doesn't really come close. It does sound like a robot no matter what you do, even if you remix the sound and try to adjust it as much as you can, and you really can't fix it.
Yeah, Alexa sounds like Siri with just a slight more compassion. And that's the best way. That's the best way I can describe it to you. It sounds like deep down it sounds like she wants to care, but she realized she doesn't need to kind of voice. Siri just don't give a shit. That's why I got an Android. I thought I would get a laugh, but whatever.
Sorry, I was coughing instead of laughing.
No, it's totally cool. Whatever. Okay. So, so you're talking about scary stories and everything like that. You gotta be a huge fan of Halloween. There's a certain part of Halloween that you love the most, or anything like that. Is it just the thrill of being scared? Is it when you're a kid trick or treating, the decorations? What is it about Halloween?
Yeah, that's probably why I like horror to begin with, is because some of my favorite childhood memories are from Halloween and going trick or treating. So I was always really interested in that holiday, and it was my favorite holiday. And I really like the October season. I'm originally from Michigan, and Michigan was always really beautiful during Halloween, and I remember going door to door. So it left an impression on me. And then another thing that got me into horror was back in Detroit, they had the Creature double feature on TV20, which is a local UHF station. So I'm 45, so I remember back when they had broadcast television instead of digital television. And I watched every cheesy, obscure movie from the 70s, over years of grade school and early high school. So, so if people that read my writing will see that influence there, like the European horror and the low budget horror from that period. I'm really influenced by the 1970s, both the movies and the television horror related television series that were out at the time, like Kolchak the Night Stalker and Night Gallery are two of them.
Okay. Well, if you had to choose just like one Halloween movie that you could watch for the rest of your life, could you narrow it down to just one?
Yeah, I would probably watch The Exorcist over and over again. It's really scary. That's another thing. I saw that and I was scarred for life. When I saw it at an inappropriately young age, and I'm sure that it had some kind of horrible effect on me that lingers today.
And I think, and that's where I'm kind of at, like as far as like these whole like horror movie things were, because the first horror movie I ever watched, what was it? It was either There were 2 points in my life that my babysitters put on a horror movie, and I can't remember which one happened first, but they're both horrifying. One of my babysitters put Scream on, and I had a different babysitter who put The Bride of Chucky on. I think Scream came first, right? Like late 90s, and Bride of Chucky came out after that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really. I'm not quite a fan of those horror movies. I mean, they're okay.
Oh, I'm not either.
I've only watched a bit of both of them. I watched part of Scream, and I watched part of Chucky, and I never really watched the whole thing.
Yeah, it's one of those. If I remember, like it was like 97. 97 was when I watched the first one. I can't remember which one it was.
Scream came out in 96. Chucky came out in 98.
Okay, so then it was Scream. So in 97 I saw Scream, and I got like maybe like 5 or 6 minutes into it, where like eventually like the parents come home, and like the girl ends up getting killed. I got to that point, it just freaked me out to the point like where I hated horror movies. And then my babysitter put in Bride of Chucky, different babysitter, different horror movie, just made it worse and shit. And I just kind of gave up on it up until about when I was 21, 22. And the next girlfriend and I started watching the Saw movies and stuff like that. And
those are better than Scream and Chucky.
Yeah, I mean,
they're more artfully done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, James Wan is a more thoughtful, interesting director than what was done with Scream and.
Yeah, and that's why I realized, like, when it came to like horror movies, like when it's like gory slasher, like when I think it was Rob Zombie when he remade Friday the 13th.
Uh-huh.
That didn't freak me out when I watched that in theaters. Watching the Saws didn't freak me out. I did eventually watch the entire Scream movie, and I realized how dumb it was. I mean, obviously, being a late '90s movie, watching it in like the early 2010s it kind of makes it like, wow, this kind of sucks. But when you get people who like want to go to the movie theaters and watch like The Happening and all that other shit that like comes out and it's kind of freaky, I can't really think of the name. Like, there's one
Paranormal Activity.
No, not that.
VHS?
Even those. No.
The Village.
Not the Village. Yeah, that was a terrifying one. No, it was,
how do you pronounce his name? It's M. Night. M. Night
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan.
Something like that.
I never learned to pronounce his name. I've watched The Sixth Sense was a really good movie, and I saw it in the theaters. But then he never quite achieved that. That level of excellence again with the movie. Some of his movies are good after that, but some of them were bad. But I thought that The Sixth Sense was particularly good, and nothing else that came after that was anything like it.
He kind of pretty much hit his high note and just kind of faded out. I did see The Village. I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was a great movie. The Conjuring is the movie that everyone's like so eager to see, and I refuse to watch that shit. I love The Conjuring.
Oh, The Conjuring?
Yeah, or Annabelle. Yeah, that shit. No, I can't do it. It's those freaky things like that. I can't watch it. I did watch Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds in it. That was amazing. Will not lie to you. That was an amazing movie. I hate silence.
Well, the thing is, though, all of those movies, none of them are really as profoundly frightening and disturbing as The Exorcist. I mean, you can't watch The Exorcist and not, be affected by it. Especially if you're young. I mean, it almost seems real.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't believe in any of the, afterlife or spirits or anything like that. I mean, you'd watch that and believe in demonic possession afterwards, that it could be possible. And the movie is so vivid in its presentation of possession.
Do you have a belief in ghosts and
Yeah, I mean, of course, because I'm a horror writer, I don't discount it. I don't have like a serious belief in ghosts, but I believe in God and the afterlife. So it's possible that we have, that there are spirits and things like that. I don't completely discredit the idea. Let's put it that way.
That's a good way to put it.
I have never seen The Exorcist. I need to.
It's really good. I'd recommend it.
Are there any other Exorcist-related movies that you like?
I mean, nothing compares to the original Exorcist. The Exorcist sequel was awful, apparently. I've never sat through the whole thing, but it's almost universally panned as one of the worst movies ever made.
Oh, wow.
And it has, I can't remember who's in it. The girl from the first movie is in it. She makes a return as a, young adult, and then it was directed, I think, by John Boorman, who I could look it up right now, who directed Excalibur, and which is actually one of the greatest movies of all time. Not, that's not a horror movie, but it's
John Boorman.
Yeah, John Boorman. Let me take a look. I think it was John Boorman that did Exorcist 2, The Heretic. And it's John Boorman. That's right. John Boorman is in it, and Richard Burton was in it. Max von Sydow returns as Father Merrin, and there's some other James Earl Jones is in it. But I mean, it's horrible. It's almost incoherent for some reason, and I've only watched bits of it. But Exorcist 3 is actually very good because William Peter Blatty returned, and he directed it, and he wrote and directed it, and it has a lot of what his original vision was, related to a sequel. So that it's not at the level of the original Exorcist, but it certainly is certainly worth seeing, and it's really frightening in its own right.
Do you think that with all the remakes and everything that are coming out, do you believe that those movies coming out as remakes potentially destroy what the original ones were, pretty much, like with It and everything? I've heard a lot of people say they love the movie, but then I hear there are some people who feel that when you remake horror movies such like It, or when they redid Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that, it actually destroys the integrity of what the original movie was all about. Do you believe that's a possibility?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, the thing is, these movies, a lot of the remakes are done decades later. So, the original, even if it was good at the time, might not hold up today. So it's not unreasonable to do a sequel or a remake, but that possibility is there that like the original vision will be lost. Like there was supposed to be a Hellraiser remake that was going to be done by the French director that did Martyrs. I don't know if you've ever seen Martyrs.
No,
I have not.
But Hellraiser is a good movie.
Well, yeah. So he was chosen to remake the original Hellraiser, and he wanted to do an adult-themed type movie, and the backers and producers wanted to aim Hellraiser of all movies at a teen audience.
Oh God.
So there was a big dispute between them, and the project got shelved. And he's got a movie that's coming out pretty soon that's supposed to be really good. But if you want to check out Martyrs, it's much worse than anything I will ever write. I mean, it's like, it's a borderline X-rated movie. It's in that the French, kind of real gore tradition. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what they call it, but his name is Pascal Languet. Maybe that's how you pronounce it. And it was made about 10 years ago, and it's like almost like torture porn, but it's so well done, and it has such an interesting story about the afterlife, about life and death, and the nature of the afterlife, that it's worth seeing. But it's extremely explicit and disturbing.
Have you ever seen Bone Tomahawk?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Movie.
You need to watch Bone Tomahawk. It's a gory movie. It's based in the West. It's not Kurt Russell. Who's in that?
Oh man, I should know off the top of my head, but I don't.
I think it might actually be.
Oh wait,
Kurt Russell.
I have heard of this movie. And it's about cannibals.
Yeah, it's like a horror western.
Yeah,
I remember reading about it, and there's a really disturbing scene where these women are taken by the cannibals, and they've been blinded and turned into quadriplegics, and they're being kept just as incubators for new cannibals.
Yep.
Where they make cannibal babies. I didn't want to watch it after that. I was tempted to watch. It's one of those things where you want to see something that everybody says is great, but at the same time, you can't unsee certain things.
There is definitely a lot of scenes in it that you can't unsee.
Well, if I remember right, and Joey may remember better than me, I don't think they only show a few scenes with those women in it. But I don't think there's anything too gruesome with them. Is that? I mean, do you remember it all?
Yeah, I would say that you get a couple of glimpses at them, and I think they just put them out of their misery for most of it. Like the actors, the heroes see them, go, "Oh, that's awful," and then just kill them, so that you don't have to think about them anymore. I think the worst scene is what's that?
I don't even know if I want a glimpse. It just sounds awful.
That's fair. But the worst thing, the thing that I can't unsee from that movie is they take and they hack a guy in half, starting with his genitals.
Mm-hmm. That is the worst scene of the entire movie.
And it's most of it you don't even really see. They do a great thing that good horror does. They let your imagination do most of the work. And what they do is they show you the first swing, and then the rest of it is you just kind of hear what's happening, and it's awful. It's not so much that I can't unsee it, I can't unhear it.
I really got to watch this movie.
Yeah,
I might see it someday. I mean, I have a list of stuff that I want to watch, and I'll probably get around to seeing it. But I'm worried about some of the gore in it that but who knows? I mean, the Plague of Madness story, the plague that I wrote, is pretty gory. But I let a few older people read it, and they thought that I told them it was actually a nightmare, which it was. I dreamt the whole story, and I really didn't have to add that much. I didn't have to put that much embellishment in there. I just wrote it down as I dreamt it, after I had dreamt it, and they were disturbed by that I had it as a nightmare, that I was able to produce something like that. But there's nothing quite as bad as Bone, as you said, Bone Tomahawk, right?
Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah, there's nothing quite as bad as that. Some of the things that you've mentioned in that story, and that's the worst story out of the collection. So.
I'm super excited for the next one to come out. I'm super excited to get through the short story book that you currently have on now. Like I said, I started reading some of it after Alexa just disappointed me in so many ways. So I'm really excited. I'm actually gonna probably read these. I probably won't read it all at once. I'll probably read each story throughout October as it gets closer to Halloween, to kind of keep the whole theme of Halloween going and everything. But yeah, I'm super excited for your new book to come out, because I'm a short story guy. I'm not much of a reader, so if I could start a story and get done with it within the same sitting, then I feel like I achieved something. So that's why I'm big into short stories.
Yeah. I mean, one of my goals was to have different mediums. I'm going to have I have ebook and paperback. I'm going to look at doing audiobooks of it for people that don't have time to read. And then the short story collection are for people that have less time or just are interested in short stories. It was also a way of getting out my ideas that couldn't be full novels. The novels I'm going to be writing are going to be 80,000, 100,000 words each, and are going to be pretty dense. So there'll be for a different segment of the reading public. Nice. So I'm going to try to have different, because this is a publishing company that I started. I'm going to have different types of products and that appeal to different sorts of audiences.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, because my overall goal, what I decided about a month ago, is with all the guests that we have on and everything they've created, it's absolutely amazing to me. The best part of doing this podcast is meeting great people like yourself and seeing everything you guys achieved. So I'm gonna make a wall of the creations that our guests have made, like comics and books and like everything like that. So I'm definitely gonna get a paperback of your first book, and I'm definitely gonna get a paperback of your second book, because like I need to decorate my office. I figured the best thing I could do is decorate it with the creations of the guests from our show. I think that'd be something really cool to do.
Yeah, that does sound cool.
Yeah. Well, before we say our goodbyes, do you want to tell everyone real quick where they can find you on social media, where they can find your book and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the only James Dermond. If you just Google search me, I mean, there was a James Dermond, and he died like in 1880 or something like that. So if you just Google search James Dermond, Dermond, you'll find my website. You'll find Twitter. You'll find Facebook. I'm on all those. You'll find my Amazon author page, but you can also go to my website, which is just jamesdermond.com, and there are links to the Simply Scary podcast broadcast of the first 3 short stories there, and it's embedded in the website, and you can listen to it there. And also you can order through Amazon. The first story, The Drowned Man, is free on Wattpad, and it's gotten about 300 views, of people reading it, and a number of comments and reviews. So it's easy to find me on the internet and social media, but if you just want to check out the book itself, it's on Amazon. It has 24 reviews right now for about 4.6 stars. So I had one critical review, and it was a 3-star review. Even the person that said he didn't care for it that much gave me 3 stars. So
not too shabby.
he thought the endings were predictable. That was his complaint, and he gave it 3 stars for that reason. But everything else is positive.
That's awesome. Great. What we like to do with all our guests before we do say our final goodbyes is we developed a little game called Freakin' Curious. And basically, I'm just going to ask you 5 random questions. They could be about anything. You just got to get the best answer that you feel fits it.
Okay, sure.
Perfect. So first question I have, when you were a child and you dressed up for Halloween, what was the best Halloween costume you ever had?
I was a stormtrooper from Star Wars.
Nice. Okay, what was your favorite candy that you got?
I think I like the chocolate bars the best, the Hershey bars.
Solid choice.
Yeah, I mean, okay. If you had to choose any like paranormal like town or paranormal like building or anything that you could visit for one night, which building would that be, or what location?
Let me think about this for a second. Okay, I have to look up the name of it. It is the Myrtles Plantation. I think that's what it's called. The Legends of the Myrtles Plantation. I remember reading about this. It was on Haunted Homes, one of America's most haunted homes, and the plantation is supposed to be home to at least 12 ghosts. And it says it's often reported that 10 murders occurred in the house, but it says only 1 murder. So there's a bunch of ghost stories, and it has the usual built over an Indian burial ground type background, and and it was all kinds of Civil War ghosts haunt the house. So that might be interesting to visit.
Oh wow! I think I saw the episode you're talking about, because the Civil War stuff sounds very familiar to me. What was that, 3 questions? So I got 2 more here.
Yeah, 3.
Okay, so now as you grow up and everything, do you visit haunted houses? Do you do anything like that, or you kind of just?
No, I went to those those haunted houses as a Halloween event. Those fake haunted houses where they put it on. As like a carnival type event. The local haunted houses. But I've never actually been to something that claims to be a haunted house. A real one. Okay. And final question. You mentioned that there was another James Dermond that died in like the late 1800s. Uh-huh.
Are you really this James Dermond?
No, I'm not. So I'm not a ghost. I don't think a ghost from 1880 would know how to use Skype. So.
Hey, I mean, anything's possible, man. Perfect. James, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking with us, man. It was awesome, and I can't express how honored I am that you took the time out to talk with us.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it being on the show. So
Absolutely.
just
And
let me
then,
know when it is published, and I will tweet it to my 42,000 plus Twitter followers.
awesome. That would be super exciting. Yeah. 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 Like I said, like it should be out on Saturday and everything. Yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch. Let us know when you do release the next book. We'll let everyone know. And then obviously with the links and everything you gave us, we'll put those in the show notes below so everyone can find you. Everyone out there, make sure you go to jamesdermond.com, find his book, listen to his stories being read, because, I mean, it's got to be better than Alexa. Awesome. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, Colin can do Freaking State of Minds.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jason.
And I'm Jeff. We're from the History of Bad Ideas podcast.
You know what you're listening to right now, Jeff?
What are we listening to right now?
This freaking show.
This freaking show?
This freaking show. And when you're not listening to this freaking show, take a listen to the History of Bad Ideas.
Where we talk about sports,
movies,
and other pop culture events happening
in the world. So take a listen. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, and any other place that you find great podcasts like This Freaking Show.
This Freaking Show.
Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of This Freaking State of Mind. You know, that little segment of our show where we go through each state in alphabetical order, listing off a few facts about that state. What state did we end up with, guys, last week?
Utah.
Anybody know? It was
Texas,
Utah.
right? Utah.
No, it was
Yeah,
Utah. Good old state of Utah. Well, right after that follows the great state of Vermont. You know, that one. Not much happens there.
Zero.
Very little.
Yeah. Well, let's get right on to it. Vermont was the first state admitted to the Union after the ratification of the Constitution. With a population of fewer than 9,000 people, Montpelier, Vermont, is the smallest state capital in the U.S. Montpelier, Vermont, is the only U.S. capital without a McDonald's.
Colin, what are you freaking on this week?
This week, I am freaking on. Oh, I have a dentist appointment. Which, I mean, if you want to freak on it, that's what I'm looking forward to this week.
I won't freak on it. You can do whatever you want with it, because this is your freak, man. This is your weekly freak. You can freak on whatever you want.
I have a dentist appointment this week, so that's what I get to look forward to. Positive of it, I get to. I'm working from home afterwards.
Nice.
Took a half day and said, you know what? I don't feel like going in after my just morning dentist appointment.
No,
I don't blame you.
And the funny thing is that I take the first opening of the day, which is before I would even get to work by the time I'm done. So.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I just you know what? I got a cleaning in the morning. I'm going to take a half day. Then I'll go to work at noon. So.
Nice.
So, what about you, Travis? What you freaking on?
There's not a whole lot going on for me this week. Everything pretty much happened last week as far as my business trip to Charlotte. I did an on-location podcast at a wrestling show for JFW, which is absolutely amazing. So I guess the only thing I had to look forward to this week is that a lot of things came out for Netflix I need to catch up on, as far as the new season of Fuller House came out. Also, the new season of Gotham came out on Netflix. Yeah, and there's one more show that came out that I need to catch up on. I can't remember what it is, but definitely Fuller House and Gotham I gotta catch up on. So that's what I got to look forward to. Other than that, I'm just really excited about getting everything set up, not only for this freaky show, that we're gonna have through the month of October, and also our 100th episode. So a lot of things I get to do with that, but that's gonna be over a course of the next few weeks, not just this following week. So Netflix, I guess, pretty much. Nice. Joey, tell us what you're freaking on this week.
I am freaking on The Tick. The Amazon Netflix. I keep saying that. The Amazon Prime series Just came out about a week ago, and it was fantastic. And they also had the early 2000s Patrick Warburton version available, so I sped through that one too. So
Nice.
The Tick.
Yeah, I've been watching some of that as well.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's funny.
Man. And it's such a palate cleanser from how seriously superhero movies take themselves these days. Ah.
Mhm.
It's good. It's so good. I recommend it.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Every week our listeners can catch Geekcast Joe here on this freaking show. Except for the month of October, because Geekcast Show takes a break and the Freak Joe shows up. But other than that, our listeners catch Geekcast Show here on this freaking show. But obviously, 1 hour a week of you could never be enough for just one person. They would definitely need to get more Geekcast Show. So where can these people go to get more of Geekcast Show?
If you need more Geekcast Joe, you can find me over at the Geekcast Live podcast at gcl.ninja. You can also find us on Facebook, iTunes, Google Play, and Twitter by searching Geekcast Live.
Nice. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I mentioned it throughout the entire episode, and I'm going to mention it again. Make sure you tune in for the next 5 weeks of this freaky show where we dedicate the entire month of October to Halloween. Freak Joe will be back, and the Freak Joe will be reading short stories at the end of every episode, as he did the year before. The best thing we can tell you to do is when it comes to those short stories, we would love if you would submit one that you have created yourself or one that you guys suggest to us. If not, you're just putting more work on the Freak Joe for finding them himself, which I'm sure he wouldn't mind doing it. But we would love to hear from you guys on your recommendations or even a short story that you created yourself. So make sure you get involved in that. In a few weeks here, we'll be celebrating our 100th episode. Super excited for that. Huge, we got something planned that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. It'll be awesome. We're going to have a few guests back to celebrate with us. I'm not going to tell you who that is yet because everything needs to be a surprise to some people, and this will be your surprise. We know, you don't, and that really makes me happy knowing that. Make sure you check out Geekcast Live so you can hear more Geekcast Show. And make sure you stop over at Just Freakin' Wrestling, the JFW podcast, to hear me, along with Dizzle J, talk about wrestling. If you're a pro wrestling fan, that's definitely a place for you to go. Make sure you follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, just by searching This Freakin' Show. And you can go to our website, thisfreakinshow.com, see a list of all the guests we had on, all the amazing guests we had, like we had James tonight. You can contact us through the website as well with your comments, concerns, or questions that you have for the show. If you want to be a guest on the show, make sure you follow us there as well. Thanks again to the Firepit Bar and Grill for being a sponsor of this freaking show, as well as We Are Dappertized for being a sponsor. Make sure you check out firepitbarandgrill.com and wearedappertized.com for the services they provide. We definitely appreciate it. As always, I am Travesty.
I'm Awkward Colin.
And I'm Geekcast Joe.
Thank you for listening to another episode of This Freaking Show. I'm out.